Hey Rajiv.
Hi Raju.
All right. Another conversation that is really sort of interesting, I think, for both of us. And then I think we've been discussing about this offline, but maybe it's, I just thought maybe we just come on camera and, just discuss this openly as we feel it, right? The
Yes.
topic is interesting one. It's about the instability and uncertainty in the tech sector that we have been seeing over the last couple of years and becoming more and more sort of uh, gloomy or uh, uh, sort of very bad in the recent times, especially after some of the layoff news that we've been hearing coming out of India as well. Let's start off by talking about some of the key challenges that or key reasons, I should say, key reasons as to why is the tech sector going through such uncertain times. I'll begin off by talking about one obvious things which is happening around the world, which is the first point I believe is general global economic slowdown. Right
Yes. Hmm.
after COVID, right after COVID, I think there was a big spree in spending. I guess in terms of consumer spending, enterprises and corporates spending on big digital transformation projects. I think there was really a lot of things that were in play, which sort of really boosted the mood around economic spending and growth. But after that, I think what has happened is we've seen that generally economies have slowed down. I think we've seen that the impact of that has been on the IT companies and the technologies sector generally, because how the tech sector works is, obviously we know, right? I mean, they are heavily dependent on clients from banking, financial services, or FMCG or life sciences. If their clients are spending money on projects, if they're making revenues, that money obviously is something that goes to the IT companies as well, because then they get more projects, more transformation projects, and more digital transformation and such kind of projects, which increases their revenue. But if the clients itself are facing challenges and headwinds due to economic
Hmm.
slowdowns, they obviously cut back on spending. And when they cut back on spending, IT
Yep.
spending obviously is at the top of their agenda, right? What are your observations?
See, Raju, we have been talking about it for a while now. That because of AI, we know how efficiency are increasing. Since efficiencies are increasing, you'll need less and less people. So this was something cooking and bound to happen, right? But the real reason we're talking about this today is one company, the IT giant from India, TCS. People say that TCS ka job hai means that is almost as good as government job, right? Now, agreed that we are having the slowdown, but this is not the first time we're having the slowdown. We had
Yeah.
slowdown in 2000, in 2008, even in 2017, 18, there was slowdown. So we have seen many such slowdowns, right? And even though IT is pretty much secular growth, but it is still cyclical in terms of if there is a general slowdown, they will be impacted. TCS has never done a mass layoff in the history of TCS. This is the first time they just announced that we are going to lay off 2% of workforce. It's not just 2%, it is 12,000 people, 12,000 families impacted, right? And we know that how the cost of living has gone up. And these 2% will be across the across the world, but most of them will be in India because they have most of their workforce in India, right? We have friends back home, friends and families. We know how people have taken massive loans because real estate pricing in India keeps going up and up and up, right? And IT, people in IT become a big part of the middle class, the growing middle class in India, right? And 12,000 families being impacted. And it's not just 12,000, right? This is not, TCS is one example, right? There are many other examples where people are being laid off. Global slowdown, etc., are there, but let's call it. Let's face it. It is because of the AI that is
Yeah.
that is the primary reason why companies are. And I think this is more of a preemptive move. We haven't really yet seen the real layoffs this could lead to
Yeah.
in a couple of years' time. It
Yeah.
really scares me.
It's interesting you call that out, because I was reading some of the news around this, and the call out was that most of the layoffs are happening at the mid to senior level uh, senior levels. And the reason they're saying is that we are not able to redeploy people at this level in different roles, which clearly indicates that the traditional roles and the career pathways that we had known, right, from a manager to senior manager to a group manager to a director, whatever,
Mm,
right, that may not hold true going forward, because it's going to become more and more skill based rather than role based, right? So
yeah.
individual
Mm,
expertise, deep expertise in areas where there is value, especially the emerging areas like AI and cloud, are going to be more and more important, I think, rather than just
yeah.
sort of
Yeah. Yeah.
managing resources and people at large scale, I guess.
Mm. See, the thing is, Raju, I believe that you can think that you can be loyal to companies. Companies are not loyal to any employees,
Yeah,
right? So let's not fool ourselves thinking that if you're working in a giant like TCS and all, you'll be very very secure. It's not a government job, right?
yeah,
Ultimately, they work for their shareholders. They work for their owners, who are the shareholders, right? They have their interests to their heart, because otherwise, the CEO and the board, which is there, if they do not take care of the shareholders, they will be replaced,
right,
right?
yeah.
Now, if I just talk about the numbers very briefly, Q1 result which has come up, right? So TCS revenue degrowth in constant currency terms, revenue degrowth by about 3%. Wipro revenue degrowth by about close to 1%. Okay. Infosys revenue growth by about what, nearly 2%, right?
Hmm.
Now, so all of these companies, all of these large tech giants, they're not even able to match the nominal GDP growth of their biggest, you know, customer, or which comes from US, right? So
Yeah,
even US nominally it grows by about, say, 5 to 7%, right? They are not even able to match that, meaning overall business they are getting is less.
yeah. So
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 which I
so
think,
they have no options, right? They will be cutting down people. So TCS recently, one more thing, right? Apart from this 2%, they also announced maximum 35 days of bench,
yeah.
right? And typically these companies will have big bench, because they need to have this big bench because of the large projects they get in. Now I think their business model might be pivoting, because they may not need so many people to cater to those many projects. They might be able to do it with fewer people, maybe,
Yeah, correct.
right?
So basically, I think we're talking about, again, it sort of brings back to the first point. Right? I think there are two factors. Obviously, the one being AI and the kind of skill sets that is needed for AI. So more and more projects will start becoming,
Mm,
sort of more AI focused. That means the skill sets required will be more AI driven rather than, the traditional roles that we have known. But the other is obviously, I mean, because of the global slowdown, clients are very sort of not able to, will obviously cut down on those traditional multi-year projects and will start focusing on more and more AI projects. So I think it's a combination of general slowdown, and I think the fact that the game is
yes.
changed and clients will demand more AI sort of skill sets to make their organizations AI first. So I think it's a combination of two that's really sort of impacting the IT industry in general. And I think we are seeing that not just in TCS, which is obviously the big one from India, but also in companies in the US like Intel and Microsoft and IBM and many other such companies who have laid off or have been continuously laying off for the last year or
Mm,
so. So it clearly indicates that those companies are also restructuring and focusing their efforts around AI, which means any sort of any skill sets which are not required or doesn't fit into their long-term strategy of AI is made redundant, basically,
yeah,
right?
absolutely. uh, yeah, I think it's very clear, Raju, and I think nobody would deny, and we two of us have discussed this empty number of times, and I think hardly anybody would deny that nobody's job is secure in this world
Hmm.
of AI, right? You never know
Absolutely.
what will be disrupted, right?
Yeah.
No job can be called totally secure. Everything is sort of being disrupted, and you do not thus want to, sit ducks and do nothing, thinking that you will be employed in the work you're doing for another, you know, I don't know, 2 years, 5 years, 10 years. 5 years, even 2 years looks like a long time in the world of AI, right? So
Yeah.
let alone 5 years, 10 years, 20 years.
Like they say, right?
Uh,
45 might be the new 60 in this industry. uh,
so since we agree that you cannot do nothing, right? And you cannot just keep doing your regular 9 to 5 and think that everything will be fine. It will not be, right? So let's maybe now, Raju, talk about what can people like you and I and similar professionals, right, who are in these mostly IT jobs, or even it could be non-IT as well, right? Because even if you're in creative world, if you are in media, etc., everything sort of being disrupted because of AI. All the white collar jobs, if we call it that. So what can one do to really prepare themselves in this world of AI? And because these things, layoffs and all, I think they are just the start, right? They
Yeah,
might be
absolutely. Yeah.
much accelerating a lot more in
Yeah.
near future.
So I think again these are just sort of things that we have, we are seeing people do around us, and some of the things obviously I know
Mm,
we are also sort of trying to actively do, right. And one of the first things that comes to my mind, which is very obvious to many around us, is obviously if you want to stay in this profession, what does the next 10 years look to you like, or the next 15 years, or if you want to go, keep working for the next 20 years, how does that look like? It will not work if you just keep doing what you're doing and just think that that I'll just get carried away by the wave. No. I think upskilling is a no-brainer. It's not a nice to have, or it's not a one-off certification that you do in like 2 months, 3 months, and think that you'll land the next big gig. No, continuous growth mindset is absolutely important, and that means adapting to the new realities, which essentially
mm.
translates into upskilling and reskilling.
Let me ask you this, Raju. When we say upskilling, so one is you go and do a couple of certification. I don't think when we say upskilling, we really mean that. We really, when we say upskilling, you really, maybe jot down what are the key things, top things you do, and how are you
Absolutely.
improving on them by using AI, right? How are you being more productive? How are you, being more creative, right? How can you have more output? Can you do a work of five people? Can one person do work of five people, for example, right?
Absolutely.
Or say the job, if you're doing it in 8 hours, can you do that job in 1 hour, 2 hours, and better?
Yeah, and which is why I think the simple framework that I keep referring to that helps me, right, for people in this job is, if I have to put it in a couple of buckets, that would be, for me, would be three buckets, right? I mean, an AI user, an AI builder, or an AI regulator. So figure out where you want to
Mm,
fit. So if you are in a frontline sales staff, or let's say a relationship manager, how can you become a power user in AI? How can you use AI to do your job better and crack more deals, right? So that makes you a solid AI. You fall in the solid AI user category. So can you use AI to make yourself more productive, which is the point you're making. The second category for people like us or people in the tech sector is being AI builder. So can if you're a product manager, how can you use AI, right, to
mm,
become good at what you're doing already? Or how can you upskill yourself in AI so that you can pivot to a role in AI, become an AI product manager or an AI change manager?
yep, yep,
Or if you have really good knack for coding and engineering skills, how can you pick
mm,
up skills in machine learning or data science, right? Or an AI architecture. So which all of these essentially fall in the AI builder category. So I think most
yep,
people in the tech sector should see what are the roles they're playing. If you're a project manager, how can you use AI to become better at at project management? A lot of
mm,
the work around project management would be eventually automated by AI. So that
yep,
means, what is the extra thing you would need to do as an AI, as a project manager? Sorry. Do you need to become good at leadership, at stakeholder management, in your communication? Those are aspects that AI can't still replace. So project managers can think that all the things around resourcing and budgeting will be automated. So what is that extra that I bring to the table? Right.
yep,
And the third is the AI
mm,
regulator category that I talked about. That if you have a knack, or if you have already been in the risk compliance legal sort of space, right? So can you upskill in AI ethics or AI regulations,
mm, mm,
and
mm.
sort of become an expert in that. AI change managers, right? We keep talking about that as well, which will be so important in driving these
Yep.
transformations in so many industries. So broadly, I mean, when we talk about upskilling and reskilling, right? So these are some of the categories that people need to see where they fit in. Can they become more
Yeah, yeah,
productive?
very, very,
Can,
very. Very interesting. Very, and I think being an AI user, that is no choice. That is
Absolutely,
a
yes.
bare minimum you will have to do, right?
Yeah,
Rest in AI regulator category, I think I would also put people who are sort of in, I don't know, cybersecurity space and all. They also sort of become going to maybe, I don't know, between AI builder and AI regulator, they are there, right? So
correct. Yeah,
that's one. I think we agree either you be an AI user, AI builder, or AI regulator, right? Now let's also talk about what else can you do, right?
yeah.
So if we talk about additional things, right? So
What comes to your mind?
I think especially the people who are sort of in our experience and age bracket who have been working for like 10, 15 years minimum, right? You should also be thinking about sort of your financial security,
Yeah,
right? Because we have spoken about it earlier as well, right? That your income minus expenses should not be your savings, or income minus savings should be your expenses, right? So
yeah,
meaning having that financial security is also very, very important, right? You should try to reach to that sort of financial independence as early as possible, but at the bare minimum you need to have that emergency bucket of say 12 to 24 months of your monthly expenses you should have as a saving. And then doing investment is not an option. You have to invest into high growth assets. Even with AI, right? These AI companies, look at Nvidia, 4 trillion market company, right? So it has grown like 10x in the last 3 years. So you have to also put your money into those investments, that your let your money grow as well, right? So one is your active income which you make by working, another is your sort of passive income or investment income, right? So let your money make money. So that I think is absolutely very, very important.
and while I think equities is one example that you gave, and a very good example, but I think it could be anything for anyone. Some like real estate more, some like gold more. But the idea
Absolutely,
is that
absolutely, anything.
whatever asset you like, or whatever risk appetite you have, right? Accordingly, the I think what you're
Yes.
trying to communicate is, don't let your money sit idle. See how you can make your money attract more money. I think that's the key point you're trying to sort of drive through sound
That is
judgment.
the key point, and also I would say your money should at least be getting inflation beating returns. Now,
Absolutely,
if you get it through real estate, through gold, through other means, through equity,
whatever
right? But
works.
just be mindful that your money should be having inflation beating returns at the
Yeah,
bare minimum, right?
yeah, yeah.
So that's second part, right? So financial safety net security you should be having. That I think is the biggest safety net. I would say once you have that, you will be so much having a peace of mind if you have that.
Yeah, and I think one small thing that I want to add there, I think also the having an emergency fund of 6 to 12 months in your kitty also, I think, is something that most of the financial sort of experts talk about, right?
Yes.
Because
Yep, yep,
suddenly, if you lose your
absolutely.
job, obviously the EMIs would still be on. You have to pay the bills.
Mm.
That will still carry on, right? I think so. What do you think about that?
No, absolutely. I just said, right, that you should have, in fact, not just 6 to 12. I'm saying, 12 to 24 months of emergency funds you should be having, because these days we have seen people, our friend circle, right? They're not able to land job in 6 months. So I think 6 months
Yeah,
is too less, right? Because say if you want to break free and do something on your own, right, then you might take a year or two to just build something on your own, your own
right.
venture and stuff. So I think
Yeah,
2 years I would say is the new emergency fund, not 6 months or 12 months.
yeah, yeah, yeah,
So that leads me to another thing, third thing, right? So one is your learning to use AI, second is your financial safety net, third is I'm thinking that everybody sort of needs to think like a entrepreneur or a solopreneur, or sort of think outside of the box a little. Think of not just salary income which hits your bank account every end of the month or every fortnight, but think, can you have some additional income source? It can be investments, it can be other things. So what do you think about that,
yeah.
Ranjan?
So I think essentially what you're talking about, and it's a very interesting one, is how do you diversify
Hmm.
your income streams, right? And not just
Yep.
rely on the only 9 to 5 job that you have for your
Hmm.
bills and your rents and your EMIs. That's a
Hmm.
very interesting one, and I've seen examples of people that I know around me who have said goodbye to the corporate world for good, uh, and have picked up uh, other kinds of professions, right? So somebody like, somebody who used to play tennis at a national level, quit his 20 years of corporate job, and has taken up full-time sort of position as a tennis coach,
Wow.
and already going through multiple level of certifications to sort of start teaching or coaching at a higher
Mm.
level.
Mm.
I've seen people,
Mm.
who are doing full-time jobs, but also sort of, are teaching music instruments, because obviously they've been playing for long as a side income stream, and also because it's their passion, right? So it's also an opportunity to monetize your hobby if you have one which can be monetized. I think that's one area that I've seen people picking up. Yeah, content creation, right? There's so many. I mean, we I think we're flooded with so much content, and so much
Mm.
good content on YouTube, right? And there's so
Mm.
many good YouTubers who are making content around finance and health and lifestyle, and so on and so, I mean, all kinds of things, right? So figure out what you're good at, and if content creation is your calling, why not? I mean, it's what is a very sort of a
Yep.
lucrative career choice, much maybe much more attractive than what we do in terms of making money if you have a good subscriber base. What other things do
So
you think, I mean, what comes to your mind?
just to this, I think I read a line which I think is even more and more true in today's time, that your 9 to 5 makes you a living, but your 5 to 9 makes you a life,
That's a
right?
good one.
So,
Yeah, yeah, I agree. Yes, yes.
uh, so I I think, like you said, one is, if you have any hobby, just be very very open-minded to that, right? See if you have any hobby. It could be any sports you're good at. It could be music. It could be, you could be a teacher, or you could do some content creation. You could, uh, right? So you could do either of those things, uh, or you can just think sort of out of the box. See if there is something new you can learn and pick up, right? It could be that as well, right? Plus, I think it will also be sort of important to build your professional network, right? Because
Yeah,
as you get in touch with more and more people, as you talk to them, you also get ideas, right? Because you may not be able to discover everything on your own, right? So
yeah,
go out, talk to people, network, and look for opportunities, right? Just be open
yeah,
minded, not be close minded, that okay, I wake up in the morning, and every day I do these things 9 to 5, and that's about it. And for some people, it's not even 9 to 5, it's 9 to 9, etc., right? So whatever time you have, right, think about those things, build your network, see, I would say explore all the options, right?
yeah.
uh, yeah,
So
yeah.
I think I
What else
think I
what else
think
what else can you think of? Hmm.
No, no, absolutely. I think I agree. I mean, the one thing which comes to my mind is, I think something that I read a few days back is, maybe going forward, you know, having a one-dimensional resume may not work. You need to have a
Hmm.
resume which showcases a portfolio of skills that you have, not necessarily just for that particular thing that you do, right? It could be that, I let's say I have a 9 to 5 job, but then I am also a content creator, or I'm selling a course on so and so topic, because this is, I put all my expertise into that, and or I'm a career counselor, let's say, or I teach music, or I'm a tennis
Hmm.
coach, right? uh, or also, let's say, I'm
Yep.
a toast
Yep.
toast there's a local sort of organization where I go in, and I sort of
Toastmasters. Hmm.
toastmasters, right? Something like that, right? I conduct
Hmm.
toastmasters for Sydney
Hmm.
or whatever.
Hmm.
So it'll not, as I said, right, not having a one dimensional resume, but having a portfolio of skills, I think will be important going forward. And I think that was something that really sort of struck a chord with me.
Absolutely, very well put, Raju. And for many people, you may not be able to answer that today, but
Yeah,
if you go into that journey, right? If
absolutely.
you go into that exploration journey, you might be surprised. You might be able to figure out things,
Yes,
just by thinking towards that, by meeting more people, by having those discussions. And I'm sure everybody has some of the other skills which can be
absolutely.
monetized.
Absolutely. I think the important thing is always, as I say, right? I mean, taking that first step is important. I think too much of analysis and
Hmm.
paralysis will lead to nowhere. I think all of us need to sort of really find that calling. And like you said, right, just go out on the journey, and I'm sure things will fall in place as you explore more and more, and things will start to open up. But again,
Yeah.
I think the on a philosophical note, as I started off, right, embracing that growth mindset is going to be very important. Continuous sort of adaptability will be essential. I think that, I mean, most of the thought leaders and the scholars around the world are saying that all of us have to get into that mode of continuously learning and investing in ourselves to keep ourselves
Yep.
relevant
Yep.
in the new world.
And it need not be stressful, it can be fun as well.
Absolutely.
So, right? So see if you can make it fun, right? You
Absolutely.
never know. You might be moving from a very boring job or a stressful job to something which you really love doing. So, right?
Yeah, 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 absolutely. I gave some examples, right, of people quitting the corporate jobs after 20 years and taking
Exactly.
tennis full-time tennis coach
Yeah,
roles, and also people already doing side gigs around teaching music or teaching finance and things like that, or creating content. And these are people I know. These are not just some examples out of thin air. These are people that I know and are already taking those steps
yeah,
towards fulfilling their what they always wanted to do, actually, as a passion.
that's great. Yeah, yeah. Awesome, Raju. On
Yeah,
that note, I think we have discussed, and I'm sure we will be talking more on this
yeah, yeah.
because I'm sure we'll be getting more ideas. We'll be having more anecdotes, more stories to share. So we will definitely talk more on this in future as well.
Yeah, yeah, and absolutely. And I think each of those topics that we talked about, I think we can just sort of take each of that and then just maybe just flesh it out a little more, right, with more
I
examples
think
and what we think. I think
absolutely.
we can go deep into each of these. Is what I think. I think.
Yeah, yeah. Let's do that. I think that's a great idea, Raju. So
Yeah,
yeah, let's plan on doing that sometime soon again.
yeah, yeah. Sure, of course. Yeah. All right. See you then.
Okay.